I know, guys. I just woke up and decided to record. So, people get this. I just want to record. Oh. But anyways, guys, I think we're close to the class trial, right? Oh. So low. Chapter 3. We're almost done with the game, guys. There's 6 chapters. Oh, man. Let's just see what happens. Are you excited? Are you pumped? It's time for a class trial.
Like the bright burst of fireworks, like the flash of a soul clashing with life and death. And so, with no further ado, everyone please meet at the usual spot. Make your way to the red door on the first floor of the school. See you soon.
Fuck you.
It would seem...
It's unfortunate, but I suppose there is where our investigation comes to an end. You have to figure out the rest for yourself and come to the proper conclusion. Yeah, you're right.
Shall we go?
Well, we better get going. Where's the background music at? I loved it. Okay. Oh, there it is. It's not so fun no more, guys. Everyone had heard Monokuma's proclamation, proclamation, and they were gathered by the red door. And as soon as we were all there,
Monokuma appears!
hello. We multiply.
Wrong!
Nope, not multiplication. It's just like they were cause of an illusion. I'm moving so fast, it only looks like I'm multiplied. You guys tell which one is the real Monokuma? Can we just get on the elevator already?
Boy! Tough crowd.
You're not playing along.
Stop talking.
We're not here to play with you.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Hey!
If everyone's here and ready to go, please aboard the plane, train, elevator. I'll see you guys down there.
Let's go.
Okay, then shall we?
Please!
Hold on. I'm mentally prepared yet.
What the heck?
You've never been mentally prepared. You can't run away anymore, hero. You're gonna pay for your sins.
What the heck?
Sorry guys if I sound so flat right now. It's because, like I said, I just woke up. It's 12:16, and I just felt like recording and video go. Early recording. So my plan for this series I'm doing. My plan for this series is that I'm gonna try to go through it, go to the second game, and be done with Daganronpa not for life, but you know, because I can't record third game, but when I can, I will record it someday. I told you already, I didn't do it for serious. That reminds me, did you ever find the other costume or the note? Well, no, but how unfortunate. Then it would seem we have our culprit.
Hey.
This isn't the place to talk about. Save your accusations for when we get to the court.
That's right.
She's right. Let's get down there first. Then the story can relay at the beginning. Yeah, good idea. That's right. I have to. I have to do it. I can't let whoever killed Hifumi and Taka get away with it. For everyone who's still alive. And for the two that have lost their lives. Hifumi, Taka. The one who killed Hifumi and Taka. The one who killed the two of our friends. The killer is someone right here. I took one last deep breath and exhaled slowly. I began to walk towards the elevator. And once everyone was aboard, the door closed on their own. And the steel box began to move. The clunking of the elevator kept us company as we fell further and further down. There was no going back. Until we settle all of this, we can't go anywhere. I'm not sure how long it was before the elevator finally came to a stop. The elevator door slipped open, opening up onto a cruel fate. When I see all you gathered together like this, I realize just how few of you there are left. This school life is slowly reaching its climax.
Just the worst.
Only because of you. Why are y'all making us do such cool things to each other?
What?
What? You really hate me so much? But I'm so cute.
Come on.
Stop squeaking around. You're doing the trial. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm not doing the ways I can like. Don't rush me. Of course I'm gonna restart it. Well, would never be like stay tuned for the action-packed class trial after the commercial.
Yahoo!
I never hold out on you like it like that. Okay, let's begin. Go to your assigned seats. And so the curtain opened once again. A deadly jungle, a deadly deception, a deadly betrayal, a deadly will, a deadly defense, a deadly case, a deadly class trial. So guys, I'm gonna admit, I forgot how to play. Skill set, what kind of skills do I have? Lost in thought. I think I have that, don't I? Oh, now I do. New generations. Cause I hanged out with, what's her face? What does this do? Focus rate decrease more. Slowing down the concentration. Improve time, especially non-stop debate and the hangman gambit. In the bullet time battle, cost 5 SP. I don't know, is that why I never put it there? Increase the time limit each phase. Yeah, dude, why not do this? Okay. Okay. Class trial. Alright.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results.
Are you gonna tell me how to
If
do
you
this?
can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Now then, to begin with...
We already know who did it.
Hina. I don't
Was
know.
that?
It was Hiro. He does not have an alibi for when the murders took place, and we found him in that suit. Don't try and deny it! You killed them!
I didn't! Someone knocked me out! I was asleep the whole time! I don't know anything about it!
Shut your murdering mouth, murderer!
Who are you calling a murderer?
I am sorry to say, Hero, but we do have evidence. Blueprints for the suit. Parts we assume were used to build it. And all of it was found in your room. You have to admit, the evidence is quite compelling. It points to you as having created the suit and wearing it while committing crime after crime.
God, that's so loud in my ears. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is coming to my headset loud as hell. Like, I don't even have it on my ears.
How many times do I have to tell you? I don't know!
Is Hero really the killer, or before anything else? We have to make that clear. Okay, so I don't remember how to play. Alright, can I go again? Look at the controls. How do I play again? Oh no.
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough that you are the culprit.
I don't know anything about that stuff! It's not true! It's a conspiracy!
Hero, why? Why did you kill them?
No! Just hold on a second!
So...
Everything we found in your room. The blueprints, the suit parts, they are all proof enough.
No,
I did it! I thought I was about to fuck up.
Are we sure Hero really made those blueprints?
What do you mean?
This handwriting
Well,
is pretty
take a look
shitty,
at this.
like mine.
It's the note that Hero wrote, asking everyone to meet up after Alter Ego disappeared. The handwriting's obviously different, wouldn't you say?
Hold on, are we talking about... Hold on, time out. So we're talking about Alter Ego during a class trial, where Monokuma is sitting there listening to everything we're saying.
When you compare it to the blueprints,
they're a lot more shitty.
There's no way you could think the same person made both of them.
Unless that person made it a point to disguise their handwriting.
No, the differences are bigger than that, I think.
Come on! I'm not smart enough to think of trying to change my handwriting anyway.
So Makoto, are you saying you don't think Hero's the culprit?
And he is not the only one. I think Hero's innocent as well.
What? Then who was in that Robo-Justice suit? Is it like Hero said? Was there really someone running around in a second suit?
The suspicious individual hidden within the suit. Go ahead, Makoto. Tell them who it was.
And of course, he passed.
So? Who was in the Robo-Justice?
Is that? No.
shoot!
Okay.
I got it! Other than Hero, I can't think of anyone else it could have been. Obviously, he was the one in that particular suit. And we never found any kind of second suit.
Then there can be no doubt. Hero is the prime suspect.
That doesn't make any sense! You just said Hero didn't do it!
It makes perfect sense. Hero was the suspicious individual in the suit, but...
So what you're saying is...
That's right. The culprit in this case has nothing to do with being in the Robo-Justice suit.
Ooh.
What? Now that's a bold assumption! And what reason do you have to make such a statement?
Of course. But before we get to that, there's something else we need to clarify first. So let's get that out of the way.
Hey, stop trying to boss us around!
Yeah, you're kind of looking like Bailey once he gets spicy.
All things have a proper order.
Bailey's my dog, by the way, and her hair. that stands up when she gets arrested.
So what is it? What needs to be clarified?
We must clarify the method of transportation for Taka's lifeless. It would seem that his corpse was moved using certain particular items. Makoto, can you tell us what they were?
Is it the doll?
I got it!
There's still one more thing. The tarp as well.
I got it! They were a dolly and a tarp, right? So, let's see if I can explain. Taka's body disappeared from the equipment room. And when we found it for the second time, it was wrapped in a blue tarp, right? It was the same tarp that, up until then, was stored in the equipment room. So the killer must have seen it there and decided to use it when they moved Taka's body. That way, they wouldn't leave any bloodstains while they were moving it.
Okay, that explains the tarp. And the dolly?
Same thing. I'm sure the dolly was in the equipment room when we first found Taka's body there. But when the body disappeared, so did the dolly. Later, when Taka's body reappeared in the repository, so did the dolly.
In other words, you think they used the dolly to move the body. Am I right? But are you sure you are not mistaken?
Huh?
Are you absolutely positive the dolly was in the equipment room when we found Taka's body? That dolly was made specifically for moving large objects between the repository and the art room. It would be very strange indeed to discover it had made its way to the equipment room. Is it not possible that it was in the repository all along, and you simply didn't realize it?
She's raised an objection. How do you respond?
There is no shame in being wrong, and nobody expects much from you anyway.
Celeste, if I was in the courtroom with you, I would've got out of my spot and just slap you like there's no day tomorrow. I would literally back the snot out of you.
We have all accepted the fact that you rarely understand what is going on around you.
Wow, I never had anyone sound so nice while being so mean. But maybe I can change her mind. If I can't just explain to them why the dolly must have been moved from the equipment room to the repository. A new element has been added. Oh, would you like to hear more? Absolutely. Let's talk about reloading. Oh, fuck. Starting with the next bullet time battle, we're gonna add one more ingredient to the recipe. On the bottom of the screen, underneath the tempo marker, you'll see the ammo count. Up till now, there hasn't really been a limit how you destroy your opponent's statements. But from now on, just locking on and pressing triangle won't be enough to handle them. It will cost you one bullet to destroy a single remark. Once you run out of bullets, you can't destroy any statements, no matter how locked on you are. However, you can reload by pressing square. Just like locking on, you have to press square in the tempo with the marker. Basically, just remember that square button now has a function along with the X and the square button. You will automatically reload at the start of a fever time, and your ammo will not decrease. Ooh. Oh, but if your action is difficult as say on Dental, you won't have to reload on it at all. Oh fuck, I'm not 100 though, am I? I'm probably a medium. In which case, you can ignore everything I just said. Well then, good luck and have fun. Fuck. So I do have to remember square is the reload button, okay.
You have it wrong! I cannot agree! You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst, you miserable wretch. You had it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. You miserable wretch. I cannot agree. You are a fool. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst, you miserable wretch. You miserable wretch. You have it wrong. I cannot agree. You are a fool. So pathetic. Lies will get you nowhere. Do your worst. Away with you. I cannot agree.
This should prove it.
God, I was fucking up really badly then. I fucking suck at those.
If you're asking for proof that the dolly moved, I have it right here.
Do you, Makoto?
When I found the dolly in the repository,
My health is so
there was a
low.
pool of blood in the equipment room with a tire mark in it that matched the dolly wheel's tread.
Yeah?
The killer probably rolled the dolly through the blood on accident as they wheeled the body out of the room. And as the blood dried on the tire, they moved the body into the repository. So there's my proof that the dolly was used to move Taka's body.
Jeez, the source really hit me
Well,
bad.
anyway, that was just something we had to get
I
out of the
hate that
way.
function
Let's
so
get back to
fucking
the main
much.
subject.
Yeah, the subject of how Robo-Justice didn't do it. Because if it's not a killer robot, then what kind of robot is it?
I'm not sure that really
Not a robot
matters.
at all.
I'd be happy to explain why the occupant of the suit couldn't possibly be the killer. If you look back on how the body was transported, it will
Can't-
become immediately obvious.
Can't bend at the knees. What do you mean by that? Can't bend at the knees, bro. That was disgusting.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over. Then you could push the dolly no problem. So the killer just crouched down and carted the body off to the repository.
If you accept everything we just said,
Robo-Justice
then you
can't
must
bend.
realize that whoever was in the suit couldn't possibly be the culprit.
Sorry, I don't think I realize anything.
They can't bend at the knees.
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository, correct?
Yeah, the culprit wrapped the body in the tarp, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it off, right?
No, fuck. I need the
Now,
suit.
keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even with all you'd have to do is bend over. Then you could push the dolly no problem. So the killer and carted the body.
If you accept, then you must realize that who... Sorry, I don't think
I fucked up.
As we know, Taka was
killed in the end from there.
Yeah, then loaded it on.
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
Fuck. Shoot! Okay, everybody, yada yada yada, yeah, everyone dies. And it's all because of my fault, guys. Yes, let's give it another shot.
I refuse to give up yet!
Yeah, we're not giving up. Maybe I'll change the wording at all. Maybe I just shoot?
As we know, Taka was killed in the equipment room. And from there, the body was moved to the repository.
Yeah, then loaded it onto the dolly and wheeled it.
Now, keep in mind that the dolly doesn't have a handle.
Well, yeah, but even without a handle, all you'd have to do is bend over.
No, that's wrong!
I fucked up. Never mind.
You're absolutely right that you could push a dolly without a handle if you stoop down low. But if you were wearing that suit, do you think you could actually get into a position like that?
What do you mean?
Think back to what you said when we were all checking out the suit together. When you're in that suit, not only can you not see your feet, but you can't even bend at the waist.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It seems like it'd be awfully hard to push that dolly if you couldn't bend over.
Well, what's to stop you from simply pushing the dolly with your feet?
When you can't even see your feet? You really think someone could kick the dolly all that way?
Yeah, it'd be totally impossible! Not that I can say for sure myself.
You can't even bend your knees to kick it.
On top of that, if you were wearing such a rigid, cumbersome suit, it's very unlikely you would have the dexterity to go about wrapping the body in a tarp.
Well, I mean, isn't that just a matter of taking off the suit when you're ready to move the body?
You can't take it off by yourself. That's fine. You can't take it off.
I got it!
You can't take it off.
I don't think taking off the suit was an option. If you remember...
Damn, guys, I'm sorry. I keep on fucking up. That's true. It's impossible to put on the suit or take it off without help. Then really, you can't take it off by yourself, Hiro. Wasn't you just...
Of course I wasn't making it up!
If he could have gotten it off by himself, I don't think he would have let us see him wearing it. Showing up in the suit was basically an invitation for everyone to suspect it.
Yeah, that's right!
So, it's really, really true that Robo Justice couldn't have moved the dolly?
To be clear, whoever did move the body, it couldn't have been Hiro in the robot suit, correct?
No, wait. Just a second, if you please. Have you forgotten about the picture that I took? You all got a good look at it, did you not? The image of Hifumi being dragged away by Robo Justice? If whoever was in that suit is not the culprit, how do you explain that? Besides, do you remember what the now deceased Hifumi said? So long as those facts exist, the proper conclusion is beyond question. The individual inside the suit and the culprit are one and the same. It was Hiro, without a doubt.
I'm about to smack her in the sky. She deserves to get slapped.
Yeah, that's gotta be right.
Hold on a second!
It's still far too early to reach that conclusion.
Oh yeah.
Besides, there's no hurry to decide who did it. Before we rush to a verdict, shouldn't we explore every single possibility? Instead of seizing on one viewpoint, the truth is uncovered by analyzing things from every angle.
Perhaps, but where do we go from here?
Let's review this series of unfortunate events from the beginning. Maybe we'll uncover something new.
What a pain in the ass!
I don't disagree, but our lives are on the line. If this is what it takes, we have to do it.
Plus, maybe we'll get to find out where the heck Kyoko was when everything went down.
All right then, let's take another look back at what happened. I suppose we could start with this morning. 4 of us gathered together in the dining hall. Makoto, Hina, Kyoko, and myself. We waited there for quite a while, but nobody else showed up. so we went to look for everyone. That was around 8 a.m.
And as soon as we split up, Kyoko went missing.
Soon after that, Hina found Celeste in the rec room and quickly came to get Makoto and me.
It seems I was unconscious for about an hour after I was attacked by my mystery assailant. I know it was an hour because I remember being attacked a little after 7.
That was when we saw Celeste's picture and discovered that her assailant had been wearing a strange costume. As it turns out, it was Robo-Justice. It also soon became clear that this same Robo-Justice had abducted Hifumi. We were soon joined in our search by Byakuya and Toko, and then went on to find Hifumi in the library. He was injured, so we took him to the nurse's office and resumed our search for the suspect. But not long after leaving the nurse's office...
When Celeste told us that, we decided to split up and search the second floor. And soon after that...
I saw someone moving around on the 3rd floor, and I yelled out to everyone as soon as I did.
And then... At that point, we decided to divide up into 2 groups. Celeste, Hina, and I went back to the nurse's office, while Sakura, Byakuya, and Toko chased after the suspect. When we got back to the nurse's office, we found Hifumi, dead. And that's when we heard the body discovery announcement. I left Celeste and Hina there and headed back to the 3rd floor to let the others know what had happened.
Meanwhile, we had just discovered Taka's body in the equipment room. We must have found both bodies at almost exactly the same time, because we heard the same announcement not long after we discovered his body.
And that's when I told you guys about Hifumi. Then the 3 of us headed for the nurse's office. But right after we left the physics lab, we ran into Celeste, who'd arrived after us. And she told us something very surprising. We rushed back to the nurse's office and saw that she was right.
Then we remembered we'd left Toko passed out in the equipment room, so we hurried back again. But when we got there, we discovered that now Taka's body had also gone missing. Next thing we knew, we were searching the school for 2 missing dead bodies. And after some time...
Celeste informed us that she'd found the bodies, and we all headed to the repository, which is where we rediscovered the corpses.
I think that about covers it.
I see. The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated. It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation, and from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
Concentration, the conduction, happening what happened to Taka. In order to uncover the truth of this case, I have to find them no matter what. Marking Final 3. What was Marking Final 3? And I was Marking Final 3. The victims were Hifumi, Yadama, and because of his speech, his blow to the head, it is thought that they both killed with a single weapon.
Oh, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
No.
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
Those numbers, but were they used in order?
So, Regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
No, that's wrong.
That'd be so fucking bad.
Hold on. There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers. If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi? Okay then, let's see the proof.
Evidence that proves Taka was dead before. Oh, fuck. I hate doing this. Your eye. A-R. I don't fucking remember how it's spelled. Is it A? God, yes. Fuck. Okay. I'm not giving up just yet, though. Let's give it another shot.
I refuse to give up yet!
Okay, so. Time miracle. So now I fucking hate this, guys. I hate Hangman's shit. W-R-I. W-R. I need I. I have an eye, please. I need S. I need a W, right? Fuck. Fuck. Let me think. W. A. Is it A? Fuck, yes.
Now I understand!
I'm so bad at that.
I got it! Taka's wristwatch! See?
Oh,
look!
Yeah.
It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
It must have gotten broken when he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night... So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
But if that's true, then he was killed well before Hifumi.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us. We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window. Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder, but all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe. Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Don't just go making stuff up.
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
Guys. Shit. Doesn't it? Now I'm all kind of black.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct? And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
But she was there when we...
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body, because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
So what now, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles.
Then what do we do, Kyoko?
So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said...
It's so ghoulish.
His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
What? How?
If the dead body were to move itself.
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another... ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was... alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
Why did Hifumi was still alive? Is it really possible? Working this way.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found. And that is why the announcement was made.
Oh, fuck.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Ah, I meant the fucking...
Are you saying that when we first there's a chance you...
No. Hifumi was dead, and you know that. Surely you heard the body to Hifumi's dead body.
And that is why the announcement...
Are we really so... Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Are you saying that when we first found there's a chance he was actually still...
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No, that's wrong!
Because if you remember, it's like again.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we made a mistake in there somewhere. I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking...
No, actually, that was plenty. He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time. Which means, even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
The first time it played was when we found each body. The nurse office and the equipment room. The second time was after. Oh wait, fuck. They're both
I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the 2 bodies.
I know, guys, just bear with me. I'm not gonna do with it. I know I'm probably gonna be more
It didn't seem
horrible.
weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
And in reality, when the 2 dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body. Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
It is pointless. She's just getting on the nerves right now. See his glasses.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned...
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found him, and then his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the
But when you compare his body other than the
change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
Yes, there is.
No, that's wrong!
I knew that's almost bullshit.
In fact,
guys,
there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, They were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
Glass cleaning cloth.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth was the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles. From Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... What exactly?
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't it?
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead... What was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out. So he just dumped it everywhere. But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done. God, what an idiot.
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked?
Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
Is it a piece of paper? Which one is it though? This one?
Shoot!
Okay. So it was the other one.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
I found a hole. Maybe you can use to escape. My Kimba can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 o'clock.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
See, then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro, and that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
Ugh! Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
That's seriously scary. That's scary. I can't let her get to me. Oh wait, are we doing... Oh, fuck. Okay.
Huffy had the note, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, that's wrong!
I was gonna say that can't be.
No, there absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just... The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it?
Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note...
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
Sorry, no. When we just...
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what, my...
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah. Because, I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
The weapon that was actually to kill Hifumi. The whole picture surrounding this case won't become clear until we figure that out. Somehow to find out the truth. Yay! Spotless hammer.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3?
Nope.
Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Nope.
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info.
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers!
No, he's wrong! The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean. And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
We did talk about it, about how there were any reason for anyone to work together. At least that's what we thought at first, but
based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Unless I'm right about this.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate, assuming the rule holds true. It is simply...
No, it's wrong!
God damn.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful!
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
Whatever made a comment of two murders that were the same, that's what his characteristic this time. Shiroko must have noticed the fact from the very beginning, which is why she said, not look at the series of events, or the entire separate incidents. Kyoko really is amazing. When you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, she's almost unnatural how good she is.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now!
Particular manipulation carry out the number of actions that in the end for him. The debate's up until now. The way the case has unfolded, we could say that all that. There's really only one person who's seen fit.
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
You're screaming.
Shoot!
Shit.
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit. The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
And when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
There we go. So, Hifumi divided into two groups, so what would discover both bodies at the same time? In fact, Celeste was precisely the one whose purpose proposed that we split up. Then why didn't we split up into two groups? I'd lead the honeymoon party. That seems more interesting.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it! Everything, the whole thing was one big act!
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Oh, you hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
You have to say that Celeste comment doesn't make any sense, but what is we are doing to...
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here.
Fuck! That goes in. I was caught. Shoot! Okay.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Just like those guys.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around. They must be. We are all going to die. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
But it is those guys. It is those guys because she didn't know.
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to die,
just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Okay.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here.
But it is those guys. Shit. Okay. So I do know it's those guys because Celeste doesn't know.
I refuse to give up yet.
But where did I shoot that at?
All I said, they must really be enjoying
The sight of us standing around, frightened. They must be. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused.
Okay, I really was walking on Fall 3. Walking with Fall 3,
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die.
We are going to die, just like those guys died.
I know it has to be something about those guys.
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to die,
just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die.
We are going to die, just like those guys died.
Fuck. Shit. I don't know how to.
All I said, they must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be positive. We are all going to die.
We are going to die,
just like those guys died.
Okay.
And that is all I said.
So those guys. But at that time, she didn't know.
And that's all it takes to finish. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Let's get this. so strange.
All I said was they must be really enjoying the sight of us. They must be. We are going to die. And that is.
And that's all it takes.
What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I
Okay, I
said
get it.
they must really enjoying
that now.
the sight of us. They must be. We are all going to die here. We are going to die.
Just like those guys.
No, it's wrong.
I just knew I had something. That's like those guys.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right? So let's put the suit on. And then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Yes, there is. If it wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away, the other possibility is Hifumi is dragging the suspect away.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Less seems to prove that there is no way Hifumi is dragging the suspect away. But that is really a possibility. Okay, let me listen up closely. That's the hero's message.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way! You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across. You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight.
No, that's wrong!
Knees.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Celeste?
Clearly! You want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one
Little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying? When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
He said people's last
I
names.
got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
That's why I said, Mr. Naegi?
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit!
Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
Hell yeah.
Well, do I?
Yes,
What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Celeste still won't give up, so I have to do something to make her accept it. Her handbook. Please, I said handbook.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
God.
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me...
No, that's wrong!
Give me your handbook.
That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, It shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Okay. So, Celeste and Hifumi are in the room together. Why is this here? Oh, let's go over to the next page. Why is that there? Okay, so the rest of the heroes there. No. That would be this. Would it? Let me go all the way through. Okay. So chapter 10 is page 10. So then Yukimi looks around, grabs a tart, folds up the body. Dragging to her, she hits him with a mallet. Right. Okay. So then just as on the floor. I don't like this because it's not specific. Like it's weird. Just as hammer. She shows evidence to him. Because the flashing to me is just as hammer. Wait a minute. 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 And then for this one, Yellow shows up.
The killer is you! Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo-Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, for these attacks, the first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1 and the Robo-Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2. With these two incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. While we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office, and once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. Celeste! Sorry, you lose.
I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no, Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Did I get an A? Oh shit.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin. Or, no, I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote. Oh, if you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
It's basically a formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. The blackened this time, the true killer who devised, I don't know if I'm gonna get this shit right, the whole stinking scheme of Celeste Ludenberg, or more precisely, Taiko Yasuhiro.
Honestly.
I lost. Well, that sucks. I guess trying to work with someone else was a mistake after all. The thing we committed to, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, was beyond my calculations.
I knew it.
So you really did approach Hifumi with this plan. But how did you get him to agree? I can't imagine he would have happily agreed to commit murder. I'm sure she relied on her specialty line. Worse, but my specialty. Don't make me laugh. I don't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then.
When did you use, I knew you figured out to be okay. You're absolutely right to get Hifumi to act. What is my accomplice?
Indeed.
I used her. For everyone who's still left, I avoid mentioning it by name, but if you was the one thing Hifumi and Taiko were both super into, does she mean she's talking about alter ego?
Say what?
What? What are you talking about?
Just a second.
Don't interrupt. You're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I'm totally out of the loop as usual. How sad.
In other words,
then you're the one that stole it.
Indeed.
That's right.
I see.
and you used it to drag Hifumi into the plan you came up with. That again? Last night, after we had our meeting about it this morning, I paid Hifumi a little visit. What are you doing here?
Actually,
I was hoping to talk to you alone. It was about what was stolen. I know who did it.
What? Are you okay with this?
It was Taka. He stole it. What?
So then...
And I have proof. Would you like to see it? As it turned out, I found a use for the digital camera. I'd taken, you know what, to Taka's room earlier, and took a picture of it there. I deleted the picture as soon as I shown it to Hifumi, of course.
Damnation!
So it was him. But how did he do it? She was supposed to yell if either of us got close to it. You are correct, which is why Taka forced to steal it.
Say what?
Forced me to steal it.
As for me...
Please forgive me. He threatened me.
Oh,
He did?
As for me...
He came to my room last night, unannounced. And then... It's hard for me to even say. He abused me.
What?
He took pictures. And he took pictures. He said if I do not do as he asked, he would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
That's a crime, an absolute crime. I knew he'd gone a little crazy, but I didn't imagine he would go that far. It was amazing how completely he bought it. I can't express how enjoyable that was. How about to say something? I'm about to say something I never said before in my life.
Completely unforgivable!
I'm going to kill him. I'm going to fucking kill him.
Most unfortunate.
Wait, please, if you go now, you'll be playing right into his hands.
Actually...
Taka is planning to use her to escape. And he has made you his target. What? Escape? You don't mean... Taka's going to try to kill you.
Let go!
What?
Indeed.
And all... so he could keep her to himself.
This is unforgivable!
That bastard.
Completely unforgivable!
Bastard!
Honestly.
Can we allow him to continue with this barbaric act? Absolutely not. How could I? She...
I swear I will save her!
I have to save her.
Actually...
Then you would like to join with me. It just so happens I've come up with a plan. I have devised the away from the reclaim, but he has stolen and escaped with a dreadful steal. And with that, it was complete. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. If we agree with that, a second thought. The effect that item had on him was remarkable. The power of love. Even a love as twisted as that can drive people mad. It would seem. You disgust me.
I see.
I have another question for you. Was that strange costume Hifumi creation?
Indeed.
Yeah. It was a real pain in the butt, too. All I asked him to do was make something to hide the face of the general body size. I had no idea he would make something like that, but it's my fault for picking him in the first place.
But...
So why'd you decide to make him be make me the suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it.
Let's see.
And that guard had the right choice. I'm so glad your stupidity surpassed my every expectations. Life must have been tough on your parents, though. I feel like I cried.
Well.
But when you were explaining your plan to Hifumi, how did you explain the part about him playing dead? What she's asking is, what was Hifumi supposed to do after that? Assuming you had actually let him live.
Are you okay with this?
That's simple. I think he did his part and pretend to be dead, and once someone showed up, I told him to say he'd been seriously wounded. He was on the verge of death, but just barely held on. And he really believed that. Well, of course. That wasn't all there, was it, to it? As I had explained to Hifumi, the plan was... well, you were all questioning him about what had happened to him. I was going to murder someone else. At that point, Hifumi would have an alibi, so nobody could doubt him. I told him that, and he believed it. It all seems very straightforward, stereotypical. I just matched the lie to the level of the opponent. In fact, Hifumi ate it up. I believed the lie wholeheartedly right up until the moment of his death.
So in the end...
So you planned to kill him all along. But of course, there would have been no point to my plan if there were one who pretended to be dead did not end up dead himself.
What the heck?
How can human life be so little?
Well...
That is non-issue. I simply did everything in my power.
Don't be mean!
Now you sound like Byakuya.
I wonder about that.
No, he derives his pleasure from the thrill of the hunt. In that aspect, we are nothing alike.
Why?
Then, what made you take things this far?
What the heck?
Was it really just for money? Are you talking about the $10 million Monokuma offer? That is a lot of money, it's true. But that's not all there is to it. From the moment our life here began, my only thought has been But all along, you've been saying how we have to accept living here.
You little bitch!
Obviously that was
Hey!
I couldn't make it. I couldn't take it. I hated it from day one. More than anyone else in here.
You little bitch!
I wanted to get out. Every day was fresh torture. And do you want to know why, huh?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. And accepting a life here would have meant nothing less than giving up on my dream forever.
Honestly.
And there was no way that I could ever do that. In an underground world of gambling, I risked my life to make a metaphorical
As
killing.
for me...
And it was all for that dream. And what was this dream of yours?
Isn't it wonderful?
To live in a European castle. Castle? And to gather handsome men from all over the world to serve as my butlers / bodyguards. I was gonna make them dress up like vampires and satisfy my every need. Once I obtained that, I could create a perfectly enthusiast world of descent.
This is fine.
I don't know if I said it, guys. Alright, but again, it is 2:09 in the morning, so bear with me. Living the rest of my life there was my only dream, my only goal. That's what life is all about. But buying my own winnings, amounting to $10 million, would have made that dream a reality. I got right to the edge.
There is nothing to be done.
Unfortunately, my dream has been scattered to the wind. So I don't have any regrets. I pursued my dream till the very end, so why would I?
Just the worst.
You sound like so passionate, but you were really able to kill your own friends for it.
Oh!
Are you asking me to feel guilty? That's pointless endeavor. I think nothing of sacrifice others in my own ends. I feel nothing.
Do you understand?
That's all there is to me. That's what makes me complete. Isn't it terrifying how different our values are? There's simply no room for us understanding.
What is this?
That's what we should be saying, and plus, how could you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why aren't you scared? My ability to lie is unraveled, and I take pride in that. It's not just other people. I can even feel my own emotions. Wait. The conscious, the fight, the... I know the word. Deceives the unconscious. And that's why you're not scared.
Yes, indeed.
That's right, I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. You know, if I could be reincarnated, if I had a choice,
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I would like to be back as Maria on the Twitter.
Hey!
You're just getting executed again. Celeste smiles then, and when she did, it looks like a poor effort to force it. She claims she could fool her own feelings, but that statement itself must have been her final lie. And that weak, fake smile is what betrayed her.
Thrills! Chills! Kills!
You're all done! Okay, let's get rolling. The Blackened disturbs the peace, and Maple must pay the...
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment!
For her, the ultimate game...
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is...
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why... Actually, it's not important. Well then, take care, everyone.
You know, I realize from the class trial, from all the way back to chapter 1, her voice changed in this one little moment.
Perhaps we'll meet again, in another life.
She doesn't sound like she has our fancy voice. Game over. Celeste has been found guilty. Time for the punishment. I think this is the way to go, guys. This is like the most way to go. The thing is, though, I know I keep on saying this. One thing I do hate: the burning of the Velasquez witch. One thing I do have to say this, though: I would not like to be burned. I would not like to be drowned. I don't want any of those to be my death. But this is the way to fucking go. Y'all see what I mean? It's the way to fucking go. It's over. Third execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friends. So I can't pity her. But I also can't deny that at one point I consider her a friend too. And for him to just come along and... Isn't it just awful? Someone couldn't cut free of their regrets from the outside's world. And so, more people had died.
Extreme!
You guys are still young. You need to place more value on your lives.
What are you gonna do?
Jeez. And here I thought you guys were going to pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
Yo, man, those are crazy waves. What do you do? I care. What do I care about hope? I'm throwing all in the trash. If you just let me out of here.
Too bad.
You're all an embodiment of hope, whether you like it or not. And it's my destiny to knock you down one by one. It's sad to say it is, but that reality just can't be avoided. Don't talk like you're not responsible. Let me get my water. How long are you going to make us keep going through this? What do you want from us? Oh, that's supposed to be my regular voice. How long are you going to make us keep going through this? I'm trying to figure out Naeki's voice. How long are you gonna make us keep going through this? My voice just got deeper and deeper. What do you want this from us? God, I'm so sick of people asking that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko, did I see you get some type of key object from Celeste?
Hey!
So what's the deal with it?
What?
Huh? What's the matter?
So then...
Answer your question. If you answer mine. What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
Hey.
Answer me. What did you do to my body?
Ooh, how exciting!
Oh jeez, oh man, oh jeez, what do you mean? What did I do? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. What was that just now? The mastermind did something to Kyoko's body. What does that mean?
Hello.
Okay, things are getting kind of awkward. I think it's about time I got out of here.
Well?
You know, you guys can go and enjoy your school life. If you get lonely, give me a shout. Not that. I'll do anything about it. Of course.
See ya later!
See ya! Monokuma disappeared, leaving us all depressed and in despair. Although it wasn't all despair, there was a small hope. One small hope. Hey Kyoko, Monokuma already mentioned it, but what's that key that's still
So...
Most likely, it's the key to open one of the dressing room locker.
Huh?
What? Then that means... So that's probably hid it in there.
Hey!
I suppose sometimes it's easiest to miss that right beneath your nose. Well then, we better go check.
Indeed.
Good idea. We left the courtroom and rushed up to the dressing room. As we approached the dressing room, Kyoko looked back at us and said, I'm gonna go alone from here. Everyone else, head to the dining hall. I check in with you later.
What?
Why exactly are you going
So...
alone? Do you even have to ask? As she spoke, she glanced quickly to the surrounding skin.
Come on.
That's not what I mean when you... There's still the risk of a spy, you know. Then I go too.
What?
You? Please, let me go. Standing here arguing is just going to draw more attention to us. Do whatever you want. Think you'll be like
well then.
Then it's up to me, you know.
Yo!
I'm gonna go to the dining hall, okay? So Makoto and Kyoko are going together? Does that mean what I think it means?
Okay.
Good luck, Makoto. Girls like her are totally pushovers. You know to show a little backbone. I try to figure out what Hina said. Everyone head to the dining hall, leaving me and Kyoko alone. Okay, listen, man. You're a little bitch, okay? I'm just gonna say it out loud. You're a little bitch. You need to grow backbone and just confess your feelings to Kyoko.
Shall we go?
Well, shall we? Yeah.
So then.
Easy to get into the laptop. Kyoko looked at the key Celeste had given her and unlocked the locker. And as the locker swung open, we saw...
You're really cold.
Good morning! It's been a while, hasn't it? It's safe. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goddess. I never heard Kyoko sound so relieved. It was like she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. I did just what Celeste asked. I didn't say a word. I stayed quiet the entire time. Oh, and I think I might be able to open the last set of files soon. Maybe as early as tomorrow? I am doing my best, so please wait just a while longer. So you now can officially say the case is closed. As far as this incident is concerned, sure, but can you take a second since we have the opportunity? I want you to be honest with me. Kyoko, please tell me, what were you trying to do all on your own here at the school? Is that why you wanted to come with me?
However,
bear with me. Regardless, that's nothing, not something you need to know right now. You don't need to know. That just makes it even more worried.
What?
Worried? Like what happened during the investigation? This time, you disappeared, and we didn't see you again. Without warning, without explanations. And when you do that,
indeed,
it's only natural that they think I'm the mastermind spy, right? And you too? No. I believe in you.
What?
You believe in me? Isn't it obvious? People believe in their friends, right? That's why I want you to tell me. I want you to believe in me too. Because we're friends.
It's true.
Then maybe I can believe in you. Just a little bit more.
That's fine.
Fine, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I've been disappearing and where I've been going. You see, what I heard from Kyoko then was, well, frankly, it kind of blew my mind. Right after I told Kyoko I believed in her, she told me a story that was, well, almost unbelievable. I decided I had to confirm what she told me with my own two eyes. So I went for nighttime to come. I waited till nighttime to come. And when it did, I went into action.
Correct.
The boys' bathroom on the second floor doesn't have a surveillance camera or monitor in it. And in the storage closet, there's a way in the back. She said it was way in the back of the bathroom, boys' bathroom, storage closet. But could Kyoko really be right about this? It's just a normal storage closet, as far as I can tell. The secret Kyoko told me about, could it really be hidden here? She said it was a way in the back to the storage closet. But I mean, seriously. Without thinking, I placed my hand on the back of the closet, of the storage closet, and slowly, as if it was being yanked in. At the same time, I heard the sound. I fell through the wall. I had no idea what was going on. I had fallen through the back of the storage closet. It turned out the back of the wall was the revolving door, and I made my way to the other side, just like Kyoko said.
Correct.
So this is the secret room. But what's in here? This is an old desk with an old drawers. There's a bunch of files and what looks like volumes of yearbook. They're all covered in dust. Looking at everything, one file at the edge of the bookshelf caught my eye. Havoc Peak Academy student registry. This is the only thing in here that is not covered in dust. Has someone looked in it recently? I slipped the file into my hand. But before I had a chance to take a look at it, a slip of paper fell out of the file. I turned my attention to it. What is this? You must not leave? That's kind of weird. I could understand. I could understand it said like I can't leave, but you must not leave. It feels like my head feels funny. The storage sensation. It's like deja vu. Those words, you must not leave. I've seen them somewhere before, but I can't quite remember. What do I know? What don't I know? A strange sound rang out through my head. It felt like was shaking my brain back and forth, and then darkness. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what started it. It's all over. And with that, I open my eyes. I don't know how long it's been. Ugh. Ow! Apparently something hit me and I lost consciousness. That's all I understood. A dull throbbing pain in my head above proved that much at least. Empty bookshelf. Huh? Empty? Gone? It's all gone. The yearbooks, the student's registry, and even the note that had fell on the floor. It's all gone. What does this mean? But my brain refused to do any more work. I mean, the incessant pain in my head began to spread across the rest of my body. For now, I should go back to my room, get some rest. My body was so heavy with pain, my mind heavy with thought. I dragged myself back to my room, towards my room. Somehow, I made it back to the first floor. Ugh. The further I walked, the more I felt. Things are getting blurry. I can't see in front of me. I can't stop myself from collapsing right here. And after that, as if the vast distance, I hear a sound. It was faint but undeniable. That sound is coming from the gym. As I desperately huddle my shaky frame towards the gym, the sound grew stronger and stronger. What's going on? It can't be nothing. Here in the gym? I didn't make a sound as I opened the door to the gym. The sound coming from inside, meanwhile, only intensified that much Before me, there raged a battle beyond anything humanly possible. No one. Besides non-human. That is for sure. But because I can't stop staring, I've forgotten to move or even breathe.
Why, what do you think you're doing? I asked you a question. What's the meaning of this? How dare you defy me? This wasn't part of the deal!
I've made a decision. I will no longer retreat, no longer compromise, no longer regret. I've made my decision. I'm going to resist you.
Okay, but you do realize what will happen if you go through with this, right? You haven't forgotten, have you? What I'm holding hostage?
What am I looking at? What am I hearing? A hostage? Then could it be the next guy is next generation legend? Stand tall, gigantic. 7. To be continued. What justice? Well guys, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoy. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Ghost out.